Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this afternoon, woman shot dead in St. Elizabeth. A woman was shot dead in the vicinity of a bar in Nain, St. Elizabeth on Wednesday night, leaving residents and a political representative there shocked and puzzled. A source identified the woman as Letitia Green, otherwise called Lati, a bar operator and resident of 3rd Street in the Littis district. Preliminary reports are that sometime before 10 p.m., the woman was near a bar in Nain when a gunman attacked her, opening fire and hitting her multiple times. A man was also wounded in the gun attack. The victims were taken to hospital where Green was pronounced dead and the man admitted for treatment. Police statistics show that this incident increases to 4 the number of people murdered in St. Elizabeth so far this year. Councillor Leighton Smith of the People's National Party, Mayersville Division, expressed a concern following the incident. The murder in the division last night comes as a surprise. We have to look at what is happening to make sure that we can keep the murder rate down, he said. Murder is declining within the country, but we in St. Elizabeth, we can't afford to have it going up again. We are calling on the police to do some thorough investigation and to see if they can get to the bottom of this murder, he added. He said the incident is very worrying. It is a shock to the community because nobody was looking for this. Things were quieter for months. Nobody heard anything about any violence within the area, and all of a sudden, this comes out of nowhere. So it is really a cause for concern, he said. Man fatally shot by police on Brooks Avenue. A man was reportedly shot and killed by the police Wednesday night on Brooks Avenue in Duhaney Park, St. Andrew. According to reports, sometime after 11 p.m., a team of police officers were on a targeted operation in the area when, on reaching a housing scheme in the area, they were greeted with a gunfire. The police reportedly took evasive action and returned the gunfire. A man was reportedly seen along a gully bank suffering from gunshot wounds. He has been identified as David Scott, otherwise known as Warndem. He was subsequently taken to a medical facility where he was pronounced dead. The police said a firearm was also seized. High-powered weapon found during search of POIs. What started as a police operation searching for several men listed as individuals of interest resulted in the seizure of an illegal high-powered weapon on Ramsey Road, Kingston 13 on Thursday. The weapon, a black high-point 9mm rifle, was found while police conducted special inquiries and intelligence-driven operations in response to ongoing gang conflicts resulting in murders and shootings in the Kingston 13 area. The Kingston Western Police have seen a flare-up of violence in the Ramsey and Raphael Road communities and the sections of Maxfield Avenue. As a result of the violence, the police on Tuesday listed 17 men as persons of interest who they believed could assist with their investigations into the flare-up. 3 of those persons of interest, Chadane Nico Hines, Kemar Parry Fraser, and Kevin Shothead Harvey, were the main targets of Thursday's operation. The suspects were not held. However, during a search of a premises on Ramsey Road, the rifle was found concealed between sheets of zinc inside a room of an unfinished concrete house. No arrest was made in connection with the firearm seizure, the police said. Apart from searching for the individuals of interest, Thursday's operations also included crime scene reassessment, where previously identified murder and shooting locations were revisited for further investigative review. There was also witness canvassing, where inquiries were conducted to identify and interview potential witnesses. Overcharging by taxi operators not widespread, says Newman. President of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, Egerton Newman, says that the issue of taxi operators increasing fares at this time is not widespread. His assertion follows concerns by Transport Minister Darrell Vaz that some public passenger operators have increased their fares without a government approval, a practice he said was illegal. But Newman told the news that there are pockets in the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region of persons who are charging a $20 extra. Stressing that this is unlawful, Newman urged the security forces and the Transport Authority to address it speedily. He also questioned the suggestions by the Transport Minister to regulate the amount route taxi are able to charge commuters when they request an alternative route, stating that it would be challenging. We're going to sit down for weeks and months and can't come to a point in terms of how we are going to regulate that. It depends on the type of turnout. Most passengers want to go straight to their gate. It depends where that gate is, he said. At the same time, Newman said the taxi operators have been clamoring for a fare increase. In October 2023, the government announced a 35% fare hike to be introduced in 2 tranches, 19% at the time of the announcement and 16% in April 2024. However, only the first phase was implemented, as concerns grew over the potential impact of higher fares amid already elevated inflation. Following discussions between government officials and the Transport Association leaders, it was agreed that the second phase would be deferred and revisited in the next fiscal year. Newman said that taxi operators were hoping that the additional 16% would be granted in November last year, but according to him, the government has not been forthcoming about it. We are asking the government what is the position with the 16%. The operators need it, and they need it like yesterday. The fact is, the government cannot give us a word on it, he said. Even so, he said he is not optimistic that any increase will be granted this year. You cannot give a fare increase so close to election. It's all politics. There is no way the ministry is going to allow that additional 16% at this time, a few months to election, he said. Attorney for cops on trial challenges a former Barnett Street inmate's credibility. Attorney at law Martin Thomas, who is representing 2 of the 3 police personnel on trial for Maria Dean's death in 2014, yesterday challenged the prosecution's 8th witness about apparent discrepancies between his current evidence-in-chief and the statement he gave while in custody at the lockup where Dean was beaten. During the witness's cross-examination before the Westmoreland Circuit Court in the trial of Corporal Elaine Stewart and the constables Juliana Cleavon and Marlon Grant, Thomas, who is representing Stewart and Grant, sought to call the witness's credibility into question by pointing to a statement written on August 11, 2014 and bearing the witness's signature regarding Stewart's location at the time of the August 3, 2014 incident at the Barnett Street Police Station lockup in St. James. Before Maria Dean was placed in cell number 4, the cell where Dean was beaten, did Miss Stewart remain at the gate that would give entrance to the cell section, or did she come to the cell block, put Maria Dean in cell number 4, and then use the words, "I did him for dead," asked Thomas, referencing the witness's testimony earlier in the trial about the Stewart's treatment of Dean. "She came on the section cell block," the witness answered. "Did you tell us today that in your statement you said that when Indian and the Shortman came on the cell block, Miss Stewart stayed at the gate that gives entrance to the cell section?" Thomas continued, making reference to the witness's earlier stated nicknames of Cleavon and Grant. "No, I did not," the witness said firmly. "Do you agree that in the statement, bearing what looks like your signature, it said that when Indian and the Shortman came at the cell block, Miss Stewart was at the gate that would give entrance to the cell section?" Thomas asked, pointing the witness to the relevant section of the statement. "Yes, but I don't remember saying that," the witness replied. Earlier on Wednesday, while ending his cross-examination in chief, the witness expanded on previous testimony he had given about Stewart, Cleavon, and Grant taking Dean from his cell where he was being held for possession of a ganja spliff in order to process bail for him. The witness had previously testified that shortly after the defendants took Dean to the police station's office to carry out his bail process, they brought him back to the cell block and put him in a different cell where inmates of unsound mind were housed because Dean had said he did not like the police. It was in that cell that Dean was beaten, following which he died at hospital 3 days later. Under cross-examination, the witness admitted that he gave at least 4 witness statements about the incident, but that he could not remember when he gave his first witness statement to the Independent Commission of Investigations. However, he insisted that everything he had stated in his evidence-in-chief was true. Presiding trial judge, High Court Justice Courtney Day, subsequently adjourned the trial until April 22, when the witnesses' cross-examination by Thomas will continue. In addition to Thomas representing Stewart and Grant, attorney Dalton Reed is representing Cleveland. All 3 police defendants are charged with manslaughter and misconduct in a public office in relation to Dean's death. Stewart is also charged with perverting the course of justice under allegations that she ordered that the cell where Dean was beaten be cleaned before the arrival of Indicom investigators. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.